Sportsmanship is about respect for opponents, officials, teammates, coaches, and especially the game itself. Booing, negative cheers, or derogatory comments directed at promotional players, officials, or coaches is prohibited. We welcome both teams and let's have a good game. Now, the starting lineups for each team. First, the visitors from West Linn. Number 1, Vigo Anderson. Number 4, Drew Orensky. Number 5, Griffin Parker. Number 6, Connor Peters. Number 9, Brennan Jarrell. Number 10, Dylan Olson. Number 11, Addison Spengler. Number 14, Rowan Kelly. Number 22, Jake Sinclair. Number 33, Logan Coble. And now the starting lineup for the Lakeridge Pacers. Lakeridge will be the home team. Number 1, Nolan Darcy. Number 2, Charlie Nauheim. Number 5, Davis Reardon. Number 6, Jason Wilbur. Number 17, Ryan Wallace. Number 19, Enzio Ferrucci. Number 20, Kelly Lamb. Number 24, Cash Rose. Number 26, Tristan Martin. And number 28, Colby Owen. Let's enjoy this great evening and some great lacrosse. Here we go.
And welcome to Ida B. Wells High School here for the OHSLA state semifinal between the second-seeded Lakeridge Pacers and the third-seeded West Linn Lions. My name is Seth Orensky, joined by Dave Sanford. And you know you've got a great matchup when you've got conference foes here in a state semifinal. These two teams view each other as their top rivals. They faced off twice already this year. They've seen each other a lot recently in the state playoffs, including back in 2023 and 2022. Both of these teams have been in state championships in the past 2 seasons. It should be a great one. The big question is, how does West Linn score enough goals against this Lakeridge elite defense to come away with a victory? The first meeting, they did a good job limiting Lakeridge in an 8-3 game. The second time, that Lakeridge offense was just rolling in a 15-1 victory. But when you look at Lakeridge this year, they're giving up 2.4 goals per game. That doesn't make sense in most sports. And the big question is, how does West Linn do enough, execute enough, to come away with what would be an upset win here in the semis?
The quarterfinal matchup, West Linn had Sunset. They were up 4-0 at halftime. Game got a little squirrely, ended up being 6-4 West Linn in the end. They've got to play in the gray and capitalize in transition. 6-on-6 defense. Lakeridge's defense is unbelievable. They're big, they're fast, they work together, they're incredibly physical. Not something that an attackman wants to deal with by any stretch of the imagination. If West Linn can score in transition, it's going to make this much more of a game.
This Lakeridge team leads the entire OHSLA with 3 of the 7 All-Americans doled out to Oregon high school players. West Linn does not have an All-American. They're going to need to have lots of players step up. It'll start in the face-off. How do you slow down Cash Groves, a first-team All-State selection? Be interesting to see how the face-offs go, as Dylan Olson is one of their top face-off guys, and it will go to Olson on the face-off violation. So West Linn in the road greens with the yellow numbers and a little bit of trim will start off with the ball. It's Lakeridge in their home whites with the blue numbers and black trim going from right to left, as that ball is dropped and picked up swiftly there by Brennan Jarrell. second team Three Rivers All-Conference player. He'll play his collegiate lacrosse at Division III Aurora University.
Little bit of nerves opening possession here for West Linn. It's a little bit of a sloppy exchange pass, another sloppy exchange pass there. Sun could be a factor in that.
I was about to say, the first one sloppy. That one, it looked like from our angle the sun might have been right in his eyes. We did not see any issues in game one with the sun, but it is definitely coming down behind the goal right now for Lakeridge. Could play an impact, I mean, maybe for as much as most of this first half, with the way the sun is staying out later and later at this point in early June.
Other thing very noticeable in that first possession, Lakeridge's defense extending far out to the perimeter of the field against West Lynn's offense. We're not seeing West Lynn's defense approach with the same level of intensity.
This Lakeridge defense is elite. Their offense, though, has been very good, as the shot is going to come out all the way past midfield off the look from Davis Reardon, and they will give it back to West Linn. They were held to 8 goals in that game, that first meeting between the two teams. It's the only time they've been held to 15 goals or less, as I go through my stats, in quite a while. 12 of their last 13. They've won 16 in a row. Their only loss this year was outside of the state of Oregon. Came against Mercer Island. They lost 11-8 in a game that we were told maybe the officiating was a little bit one-sided for the team from Washington. Working with it behind the net. That looks like Rylan Mueller. One of a pair of Muellers on this team now. It's actually Mueller up top, so might have been Drew Reinke. West Linn looks to strike first. Nearly stripped away there. And forced to pull it all the way out is Mueller. Honorable mention, all-state team. To the far side for Lucas Thompson. This is year 2 under Eric Lopez, after he took over for his former head coach, the legendary Coach Flood. And that shot goes right into the defender, never got through. There were 3 defenders in front of the shooter, Griffin Parker.
Griffin Parker wanted to get back to his right hand there. If he kept going on his left, maybe he gets a cleaner look at the cage. Defense eats that up. Lakeridge attacking quickly in transition the other way. Now they choose to settle.
Going for Reardon, and Jason Wilbur will slow it down. Reardon, the first shot of the game for Lakeridge, caught the post. Neither team has had a shot on target through the first 3 possessions. But it's got to feel good if you're Lakeridge offensively. You know that you have that defense playing behind you. It maybe takes a little bit of pressure off in big games like this. So here's a shot, bounced just wide by Sean McCarty, who will play his collegiate lacrosse at Division II Concordia Irvine. This is a Lakeridge team that is stacked with upperclassmen. 17 seniors on the roster. And they're a group that would very much like the program's first state title since 2013. They've won 5 of them. No one else has won that many. Looking for number 6. That time it looked like Sean McCarty was either looking the other way, just never saw the pass. But he's backed up by Charlie Coyne. McCarty out for Aird. And now Wilbur, as Lakeridge has really been patient here on their second possession of the game. Looking for the turnaround shot behind the net, and there's 2 Lakeridge players there on the miss for Reardon.
West Lynn's defense is standing strong. Players are maintaining their matchups. Seems there have been a couple of situations maybe where West Linn is sliding when they don't really need to.
Another shot that goes high and wide, this time from Kellen Aird. How much does playing a team twice during the regular season help in preparation here for the third matchup, but also when you're moving so quickly in between games, it's got to help in terms of getting your players the scout a little bit easier, since they've already faced off against this exact matchup twice.
It definitely plays similarly to the way the NBA playoffs play, where it's a lot harder to win 4 games against a team than it is to beat them once. Teams become really familiar. Schemes become really familiar. The teams that have more of like a free-flowing kind of offense or an unpredictable slide package on defense tend to fare better than the teams where things are really, really formulaic, because there are certain things you can watch for on tape and prepare for. There are certain things that you can't.
Rylan Mueller thought about it, and then he just flings a pass high. I'm not sure if that was impacted by Tristan Martin, the long stick, or if he just kind of lost control, but another turnover, 2nd and 3 possessions for this West Linn side. The good news is that they're even on the scoreboard. Negative is that they're still stuck on no goals, and that's been a trend for Lakeridge. 11 goals allowed in their last 10. Here's the goal by game total: 0-2, 0-2, 0-1, 1-2, 1 and 2. I mean, those are soccer numbers, and really good soccer numbers for a defensive team, as Lakeridge will turn it right back. The good news is that West Linn, I think, is showing a little bit of nerves. I'm not sure about Lakeridge, but they haven't been impacted by it on the scoreboard yet. And just like the first game, it feels like all the pressure is on Lakeridge. Higher seed feels like they need to be in the championship game. West Linn wants to be in the championship game, as that's a decent look that will go over the end line. Might have been deflected on the look from Rylan Mueller. Eric Lopez said our goal was to get to the semifinals, but when we won the semifinals, turned to our team and said, we're not done yet, we need to stay hungry, and his entire group was behind that. So they've met their preseason goal. We'll see if they can go a step further. Here's a look from inside, and it catches the back of the net. Brody Jones, the senior midfielder, strikes first, and it's 1-0 West Linn.
Great ball movement, gets the ball to the backside. Another sort of like we saw in the Jesuit game. He's got his feet set. He's ready to make that shot before the goalie's ready to attack the shot. Result, the goalie's turning and raking the ball out of the cage.
And that was an incredibly quick shot, because it bounced so hard off the back of the cage that it bounced out. I wasn't quite sure if it had made it into the back of the netting. So 1-0, just about the midway point of this first quarter. 5:59 to go in the first. And it is 1-0 West Linn. See what Lakeridge can do to respond. Again, they played twice in the regular season, 8-3 Lakeridge and 15-1. We expect this third matchup to be far closer than the second. Question is, can West Linn pull off what would be just the third upset of this OHLSA state tournament?
Olsen did a great job on that face-off for West Linn, forcing Cash Groves to go back. Then in the offensive end, he matches with the deep hole to get off the field so he doesn't get caught on defense. High IQ play, which takes Lakeridge's transition opportunities away, forces them to score goals 6-on-6, which obviously thus far they have not succeeded in doing.
Yeah, Cash Groves is another big reason why this Lakeridge team has been so good. Got an All-American goalie. They also, we haven't talked about him yet, the OHSLA Player of the Year in Kelly Lamb, one of their top defenders. They've got a lot of really good defenders, but Lamb is cream of the crop. And thus far, we've seen West Linn with a lot of time in possession and the lone goal. See if Lakeridge can get their first shot on target, as here diving through a couple of defenders and eventually bouncing it wide is Charlie Coyne.
Good individual effort from Coyne there to get his hands free and earn that shot, just missing the cage.
On the restart, working behind the cage is Enzo Federizi, who takes a big bump. No call from the refs. Picks up, thought he picked up the loose ball. Has a teammate come over to help him, and it's a turnover, and West Linn in transition. This is Brennan Jarrell with the defender coming back looking to slash it, and he'll do that. Great job getting back on defense by Charlie Coyne. And now we have another potential turnover, as we've got a fracas on the far side, and eventually it's picked up by Lakeridge, and Nolan Darcy will start the transition game. Long stick, looking for help, goes all the way across. That's a dangerous pass that nearly went back across midfield. That was Lamb. who will stay in the attacking end. Long stick.
Great end-to-end transition play there. Aggressiveness from both teams on the ground balls. Looking like we've got a slobber knocker on our hands here.
3:25 to go in the first quarter, and it's West Linn with a 1-0 lead. They've already done what 4 teams this year have failed to do, which is score a goal against this Lakeridge defense, as that pass is high. Unable to make the one-handed catch was Davis Reardon, and now looking to go down the other way as Reardon will just slash the stick of Addison Spengler out of his hands, and eventually it's collected by Tristan Martin.
Lakeridge fans going wild from that effort from Davis Reardon. Lakeridge on the counter attack here. They've got a quick break if they move quickly.
And in tight, it's a big save from Rowan Kelly, denying Jason Wilbur, who was all alone in front.
And now the West Linn fans go crazy.
Yeah, this is the #1 rivalry between these two teams, and thus far it's been a great game as Vigo Anderson's pass is knocked away and picked up the ground ball as Colby Owen. It feels like the pace is significantly picked up from where this game started. Back and forth we go, 2:22 to go in quarter number 1. The Lions giving the Pacers everything they can handle to this point. So it's been Lakeridge who's been held off the scoreboard. Fedrizzi off to Reardon. It just feels like Lakeridge is not quite clicking. A lot of passes that are dropped, or just maybe players not on the same page to this point.
They may just be, I mean, there's some nerves there too, but definitely some guys kind of finding their flow.
Charlie Coyne with it. Behind the net for Wilbur, and all the way across for Reardon. On the far side, this is Gavin Hidalgo, and his shot is handled by Rowan Kelly, who's got a pair of saves the last 2 possessions. This is Anderson, the diminutive long pole, but he's also got a lot of speed. There's a nice little dish that's just out of the reach of Griffin Parker. Otherwise, he might have had a look.
Lakeridge was in a 10-man ride there where the goalie comes out of the cage to guard one of the attackmen. It enables Lakeridge to double the ball in the middle of the field. Saw the long stick with the ball, almost like Anderson wanted to hit. There was a point where he looked like he wanted to shoot it. West Linn does a great job beating that 10-man ride, settling it down, and in a great spot to close out this first quarter.
Yeah, under a minute to go. They could hold on to the ball for the majority of this final minute, a whole minute if they wanted to. But I'm sure they're looking for goal number 2 as they lead it 1-0 here. Shot from a tight angle. I'm not sure if that was deflected wide or they're going to say it goes over the end line. Either way, it will stick with West Linn. Last time these two teams played, it was an onslaught early from Lakeridge. Double-digit goals before West Linn scored their first one. Today, West Linn with the opener, and that's just a bad turnover in front. Charlie Coyne barely had to move, and now at 25 seconds, it's a chance for Lakeridge to tie this one up. Coyne has not been slowed down yet, finds a player in front, and he'll pull it all the way around the cage. Instead looks for Reardon on the bounce shot, and it bounces over and out with 12 seconds left. So I think we're going to see a whistle. It looks like there's a flag down near midfield, and see which team is going to be called for the infraction. Lots of changing. I believe it's going to be a man-up opportunity for Lakeridge.
Probably an offsides call on West Linn.
Yeah, it looked like there was a little bit of confusion in transition there. And so it'll be 12 seconds of man-up to end the quarter potentially, and then they would also keep it to start the second quarter. So not a lot of impetus to push here with 5 seconds to go in quarter number 1. And Lakeridge will just hold on to the ball, and they'll start the second quarter with the ball, but down 1. Dave, there's a lot of lacrosse left to be played, but you have to be impressed with how West Linn has started this game, especially considering how lopsided the second meeting was. What's maybe surprised you the most here in the opening quarter?
Rowan Kelly, junior goalie, honorable mention, All-State, second team, Three Rivers All-Conference goalie, really rising to the occasion with multiple saves for West Linn and doing a good job of getting the ball out quickly against the Lakeridge ride. He seems in command of his defense. They seem to be working well as a team. His defense is getting Lakeridge to take the shots that he wants to see, and they did a great job holding the team scoreless for the first quarter.
On the flip side, you're Lakeridge. You're down by a goal. There's no reason to panic. But what are they maybe emphasizing here after the opening 12 minutes?
I think they just need to maybe clean up their stick work a little bit. Maybe they want to talk about what kind of shots they want to be taking. They're getting shots, but again, where it seems like the shots that they're getting are the shots that Westland's defense is ready to give up. They need to get to the middle of the field, earn the shots where they're consistently scoring in their other games to get back into this on the offensive side. Still very much a low-scoring, a defensive battle, and quite the counterpoint from the last game we watched. You know, this could be a 4-3 game.
And honestly, we were talking about it beforehand a little bit. That's kind of what we thought Westland's best chance of winning this game was. It's tough to score. Lakeridge hasn't given up more than 5 goals in a game to any Oregon team all season. So you're not going to win this game 12, 10, 11, 9. You have to win in a low-scoring game. Lone goal thus far from Brody Jones, the senior midfielder, second-team All-State player. It will be Lakeridge ball to start the second quarter as the sun continues to set. And now we'll see how Lakeridge deals with the setting sun. Although I think at this point, with the way the shadows are showing, both teams are having to deal with this around both goals. There's a little bit more shadows around the Lakeridge goal here in the second quarter, but the sun is certainly playing more of an impact than we saw in game number 1. Shouldn't be a big impact on Saturday in the finals, since that game will be a 5:30 start. Lakeridge with the man-up advantage after the offsides on the late transition play. A Lakeridge player is sandwiched, and now as we get back to even strength, it's turned over. And again, I've been impressed by Vigo Anderson. He's undersized, but he is really swift and has been making some plays in transition.
Westland did a great job collapsing on the Lakeridge crease player. Once Lakeridge forced the ball inside, they get it up and out quickly, killed a penalty. And again, you were seeing Lakeridge defensively not pressing out as far as they had been initially on Westland, showing a little bit more respect to their offense and allowing Westland to play at the deliberate pace they want to play at.
Jones met by Colby Owen here. Owen, a first-team All-State defender. And it's picked up by Nolan Darcy. Darcy earned an ROTC scholarship and will attend University of Alabama. That's about as far as you can go coast to coast between here in Portland, Oregon, and the opposite side of the country. I guess you could go really to the tip of Florida, but probably also as big of a change in terms of a setting between Portland, Oregon, and Tuscaloosa.
Roll Tide. The Oregon State MCLA team did an SEC tour on their spring break this year, and they played LSU and Ole Miss and Vanderbilt, I believe the third one was, and talked about how different culturally everything was down there from here, that it was like being in a different country.
I can imagine. I've been to Birmingham, Alabama, not quite Tuscaloosa, but it certainly was a different world. 2 minutes gone by here in quarter number 2, and it is still 1-0 West Linn as the Lions look to reach the state finals for the first time since 2023. As looking for a shot here. Good defense and another save for Darcy. Puts that one into the stick of Charlie Nauheim, another one of his all-state defenders. And now the question is, can Lakeridge get some offense going? In transition, pass is behind Kellen Aird there, and Westland has a chance to go right back. This is where we thought they might have the opportunity. Pass in tight, and a big save from Darcy to deny Connor Peters.
Tremendous save right there.
Felt like it was going to be 2-0, but instead, Darcy showing off why he was selected as an All-American, and Westland will have to find a second goal out of the 6v6. This has been a very entertaining game. Don't let the score fool you. 1-0 in it. Both teams are working so hard to get their opportunities. Good old-fashioned defensive battle between Three Rivers Conference foes, and another save for Darcy, this time on the bounce shot coming from Brennan Jarrell, and now in transition, lots of contact. Nauheim able to beat the sandwich of Lions, and he's going to draw the second penalty of the game against the Lions. So they're going to set up and know that if they don't score here, they'll have the man advantage, but thus far they have not been able to solve Rowan Kelly in this defense.
Moans and groans from the crowd there. Little bit of a soft flag. He did a great job. Defender did a great job controlling his body, controlling his stick to elude all of those defenders. No advantage gained really by whatever the officials called. So that might be one where in a game like this you want to let them play, but you know they're in position to make the calls. They know what they're calling.
Charlie Nauheim, the defender there, is committed to the Division II Westminster out in Utah. And that is a place that also is a little bit of a different world. So that pass will go all the way through. Now the good news is it'll stay with Lakeridge if you're a Pacers fan.
Westminster recruits a lot of players out of Oregon. A couple West Linn families there. Harrison Edwards recently transferred into Westminster, leaving Division I St. Joe's in Philadelphia mid-year this year, and got some time immediately playing as a midfielder for them. Both of the LaForce boys out of West Linn. LaForce is a big West Linn lacrosse family with their boys playing together at Westminster this year as well.
Big man-up opportunity here for Lakeridge, still looking for that first goal. So we are nearly midway through this second quarter. The lone goal came 6:01 into the first quarter. That was Rowan Kelly for West Linn. And that pass was almost behind. We've seen a lot of passes from Lakeridge that just have not been quite on the dot. As they try to prod this defense and find the space up a man. 6:53 to go in quarter number 2. Lakeridge still looking for that opportunity. West Linn's defense doing a good job. Pass up top, it's Charlie Coyne to the near side, and a shot from distance is high. It will stay with Lakeridge off the miss from Charlie Coyne. But a good amount of this penalty has been killed off. Looks like the penalty was on, might have been Kyle Benson, and now we are back to 6-on-6. So 2 penalties killed off already for the Lions.
Nice kill by the West Linn defense there. Oh, and a big save.
Yeah, Kellen Aird flips it across, and another space where Rowan Kelly just got a piece of it. As the sun continues to set, shadow should not play much of an impact in the second half, if for the final 6 minutes of this second quarter. This is Charlie Coyne with space in tight, and I don't know if Kelly got a piece of it, but it was going wide either way.
Lakeridge running that pair set and getting those dodges down the side, and have had some trouble getting them on cage. Again, that is often the kind of shot that statistically less likely to go in when a guy is running down the side with the stick to the outside than if they are dodging to the middle with the stick to the middle of the field, which is what you're seeing right now. 2-man game on the other side, trying to earn top side. And they try to sneak it underneath, but the pass does not connect.
Yeah, they were looking for Enzo Federizzi cutting from behind the net. He couldn't make the catch. Another turnover. Lakeridge, the positive, well, their defense has only given up the 1 goal. The negative is that they're still sitting on 0, and West Linn is playing some really good defense. Here is a long pass from the keeper, and it's knocked down as Lakeridge was in the ride. There was a little bit of space, but Charlie Nauheim, kind of playing as that sweeper role, is able to knock it away and picked up the ground ball, so Lakeridge gets it right back.
Lakeridge using the 10-man ride there to earn that possession, and while they haven't scored, they're possessing the ball a lot in this quarter. They're definitely wearing West Linn's defense down.
How do you feel about that decision there by Rowan Kelly? He's been playing really well. There's something to be said to be opportunistic, but when you've been playing defense for this long, do you want to potentially immediately give the ball right back on a play like that?
Generally, you want to try to get the goalie carrying the ball up to about the 40-yard line at least before he shoots it if you're trying to go against a 10-man ride in that way, and then have him shoot it towards the edges of the goal so that if it's not going in, your guy is going to win the run out and you're going to get the ball at the end line.
Well, Kelly redeemed himself with a big save, and then Connor Peters able to run down that pass that would have gone out of bounds and gone back to Lakeridge. It's going to be a timeout for Eric Lopez in his second season. Year one, very much a rebuild year, very much learning how to win. This year they have won some close games. They're 4-2 in games decided by 3 goals or less. They've played Lakeridge twice. They played some tough games. They played Sunset twice, number 7 Grand Central Eastside, number 8 Summit, number 9 Sherwood. They've challenged themselves. Outside of Oregon, they played the number 4 team in Arizona, the number 9 team in Arizona, 2 of the top 3 teams in Washington, 3A level. This West Linn team hasn't proven that they can beat Lakeridge to this point, but Eric Lopez was convinced that they could play a lot better in the first 2 games, and thus far, this has been a great showing for the Lions. Obviously, you'd like to get another goal or 2, although that's easier said than done against Lakeridge, but this defensive performance has been really impressive.
I think that for both of these teams, we may see a little bit more conservative play until we get to halftime. There's going to be a point in the second half where things are going to open up a little bit more. Right now, it's definitely we're in the early phases of a chess game where nobody wants to give up anything other than a pawn. If you turn it into boxing, we're jabbing a lot, not seeing a lot of big body blows.
So we've already done basketball analogy, boxing analogy. We'll see how many other sports we can get in. That all makes sense, though, especially separated by 1 goal and knowing how good Lakeridge's defense can be. You have to be a little bit more cautious if you're West Linn, right? I mean, knowing that, even giving up 2 or 3 goals in a row could be more goals than you can put up. They've scored now 5 goals against Lakeridge in almost 5 halves, as they'll establish where the ball will be inserted from. This has been good from West Linn, but you do recognize the potency of this Lakeridge offense and defense, as the team in green will start with the ball. 4:20 to go in half number 1. The lone goal came in quarter number 1, pretty much at the midway point, as there's a quick shot, maybe even surprised the goalie, and it goes wide of the net from Griffin Parker.
It's a great take and a great look out of the timeout. Just didn't connect. A lot of space inside.
This is Lucas Thompson with it, being badgered there by a defender. Thompson across and trying to pass the ball before he caught it was Caden Mueller, but they will retain possession as Drew Reinke, the first one to it. Thompson back for Mueller. And we'll see if West Linn slows it down at all or if they're going to continue looking for a quick look. It's the Lions holding a 1-0 lead in what would be a pretty big upset. If you look at the Oregon High School lacrosse rankings, the top 2 teams, Jesuit and Lakeridge, separated by less than a point, as there's a save on the turnaround shot. Nolan Darcy adding another one. The teams 3 through 15 were separated by fewer points than the difference between teams 2 and 3.
Wow.
So not to say that this West Linn team isn't really talented, but on paper, there was a massive gap between 2 and 3 in the rankings. So West Linn right now showing that mathematical equation doesn't prove who they are. See if Lakeridge can show that statistical superiority at some point in this game.
The power rankings definitely have a little bit of a dubious nature to them as well. Strength of schedule rewarded very heavily.
Here's McCarty looking for the handoff, and it sticks with him. Wasn't sure if he was trying to give it up to Davis Reardon or not, but it ended up bouncing right off him. This has not been the cleanest of games to this point. coin. Weaving, turning, shooting, and bouncing it wide. Rowan Kelly might have gotten a piece.
In this game, seeing the 4 best teams in Oregon all playing at the same time, you really can appreciate how good Jesuit's stickwork is.
Absolutely. I do think that the Sun has played some part in some of the errant passes. And there's a beautiful shot, and Jason Wilbur puts Lakeridge on the board. 1:57 to go. They were held scoreless for the first 22:03, but they are even here with under 2 minutes to go before half.
The Queens commit makes a big-time play right there, gets the ball down the alley, rips it sidearm on the run, top side or stick side or near side high. What I'm trying to say, just an absolutely nasty shot. Similar to a lot of the shots that Westland has been giving up all game, but what a take right there from Jason Wilbur.
Yeah, that's got to be a huge lift if you're Lakeridge. At 1-1, you got to feel good about your chances with your defense. For Westland, you can't give up another one here, it feels like, in the final 2 minutes. They have had the momentum for much of this game, and they win the faceoff. Dylan Olson has been doing a great job against one of the top faceoff men in the entire state in Cash Groves. He's won quite a few of them thus far. That was an area we expected Lakeridge to have the advantage. I say quite a few of them. We haven't seen many faceoffs to this point. I think that's just the third. And we'll see a timeout, Westland.
Yeah, we've had 4. 2 goals, 2 quarters.
No, because remember, we had a man up to start the,
that's right.
the second. So, yeah, I think he's won 2 of 3.
And one of the other ones was a violation.
Yeah. So, hey, you're 50% against Cash Groves. You're doing a good job.
Doing a good job. A minute and a half left in the first half here, 1-1. Westland with the ball in their offensive end. Do they attack quickly? Are they going to play keep away for a minute and 15 seconds and try to play this, it's a one-shot kind of opportunity? Definitely a big momentum swing to be had going into halftime if somebody is to generate a goal here.
Well, the last time we saw Westland take a timeout, I think there were about just under 4 minutes to go. We thought they might play conservative, and they got a great look right out of the timeout, and Griffin Parker bounced one just wide. Do you think that Eric Lopez and his staff plays a little bit more conservatively here, especially knowing that you can probably play for the last possession of the half if you can play clean? Or are they going to try to draw something up, hoping that they can beat Lakeridge and get that second goal?
The restart is going to be almost in exactly the same place that it was out of that last time out. That look was so open, I just run it again.
Well, a minute 28 to go before halftime. It's 1-1 in the OHSLA state semifinals between second-seeded Lakeridge and third-seeded West Linn. West Linn will start with the ball in the pocket of Brennan Jarrell. Jarrell up top for Rylan Mueller. See if they do look for that quick look. It's Mueller being badgered, and he'll pull it out a little bit further. Mueller bounces off a defender, and it looks like Westland can tend to take a little bit more clock off this time. Turning, spinning is Griffin Parker. Parker trying to get to the top. Took a stick to the helmet there, no call, although some people on Westland's bench were certainly asking for one. And it's Jarrell.
I think realistically, when you carry the ball into the heart of the Lakeridge defense, it's going to be real hard to draw a flag.
Renke pushing it out for Parker. All the way to the far side. This should be Mueller. Mueller's shot bounces through. No one saw it, except for maybe the goalie, Darcy. And it will stay with Westland. 27 seconds to go as Jesuit is walking towards the team bus in front of us. We'll see them on Saturday at 5:30 right here at Westland or on Oregon Sports Beat if you so choose, as that is knocked out of the stick there of Renke. And Lakeridge will have a chance to take the lead here before half. Bounce pass from Darcy, skips all the way through the middle, still loose with 5. And we've got a whistle and a timeout, Lakeridge. 4 seconds to go. Certainly enough time to get something drawn up. What do you think that Kurt Shanin and his staff will look for here with just 4 ticks on the clock?
Interesting, first of all, to see if they give him another second or two. I'm sure that coach is asking for it. I know that I would be. But expect some sort of play where Lakeridge is going to isolate a guy on the ball side. They're going to put everybody else opposite. Those guys are all going to have some variation of picks for each other, cutting through the middle. Guy with the ball is probably going to pass it immediately on the whistle and pass it to space rather than passing it to someone. The other thing important to realize here, the ball does not need to cross the goal line before the clock hits 0. It just needs to be out of the stick of the shooter. So 4 seconds from where that ball is placed is definitely something that's doable. And from looking at where the ball is on the field, it appears that Lakeridge got a very generous spot. It seemed like that timeout was called just as they crossed midfield, but that ball is sitting on the 32-yard line right by the numbers, so that is definitely going to be within striking distance. And Lakeridge is actually going to have a long stick start with the ball.
Yeah, this is going to be Bryce Hidalgo. A couple of players in tight. Hidalgo looking to get a pick. Hidalgo with 1-0 did not get the shot off. And we will go to half tied 1-1.
Lakeridge does the opposite of what I was saying there, going heavy ball side instead of heavy opposite, and they don't really get what they wanted to get there, I guess.
1-1 at the break. I think this wouldn't even be a question before halftime of which coach would have been happier with about 2 minutes to go when it was still 1-0, but let's look at both perspectives. First for Wesleyan, you've held Lakeridge to just the 1 goal. It took them over 22 minutes, but you're tied at half after leading for most of this first half. How confident do you feel, and how do you go about finding, probably going to need at least 2 to 3 more goals to win this game, even at the lowest mark? What do they need to do offensively against this stout Lakeridge defense?
I think offensively, both teams need to stick to their game plan, need to understand what it is that they do best, how they create good goal-scoring opportunities. One of 2 things can be happening in your huddle right now. On either side of the field, you could have a defensive unit supporting the offensive unit to try to elevate them to where they need to be in the second half to get their team over the hurdle of this game. You can have a defense lecturing the offense about how we're doing our part. You got to do your part, man. Come on, let's go. One attitude tends to go a lot further than the other in terms of what motivates an offense in these kind of situations. Defense wins championships, as they say. We're going to see one of these defenses get their team into the championship game 24 minutes from now.
If there is an advantage to be had, how much of an advantage is it that Lakeridge has 17 seniors versus Wesleyan's 8? How much is having that state championship final appearance last year versus Wesleyan? They were in the finals 2 years ago. Maybe not all of these 8 seniors were there. Is there any advantage to be had from having twice as many seniors on the roster?
Having a lot of seniors can either be a big advantage or a big disadvantage depending on whether your seniors are checked in or checked out. I had a conversation with the father of one of the Lakeridge seniors earlier today. One of the comments he made to me about the team was how all of the boys were super focused, dialed in. They really wanted this. They really want the opportunity to play Jesuit again. So they've got the focus and they've got the experience, which are huge advantages going into the second half of this tight game.
We'll see if Wesleyan can prove the old adage, it's hard to beat a team 3 times. 1-1 through the first 24 minutes. We're going to take a break and be back with the second half. It is 1-1 here from Ida B. Wells High School at halftime of the OHSLA state semifinals. And we're back live here on Oregon Sports Beat for half number 2. Tied through the first 24 minutes, 1-1 goals from Brody Jones in the first quarter for West Linn and Jason Wilbur in quarter number 2. Late in quarter number 2 to tie it. 24 minutes to decide this state semifinal. Maybe 24 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, as Lakeridge will win the faceoff. And right off the faceoff, it's a look from distance. That was Colby Owen. And another save for Rowan Kelly, who has really had a nice start, but turns it over in transition, and Lakeridge will go the other way. Interesting to see how this second half starts after it was such a low-scoring affair to begin, or for most of that first half. It seems like Lakeridge is coming out with a little bit more pace and energy to start this third quarter.
Ryan Wallace, the defender, Monmouth commit, making an aggressive play to the cage there. The other thing that you kind of see sometimes in games that are such low scoring, when is a big-time player just going to take over and make a play for his team? Jason Wilbur had that goal for Lakeridge in the first half, just with a tremendous shot. Who's going to step up?
Well, how about Davis Reardon with his first goal of the contest? Able to fire that one high just underneath the bar, and it's 2-1, 2 goals in the past 3 minutes for Lakeridge, and they have their first lead of the game at 2-1.
Good ball movement leads to a shot with the stick to the center of the field. Momentum feels like it swings a lot right there. Again, Colby Owen on the face instead of Cash Groves for Lakeridge.
The 2 all-state attack, Davis Reardon and Jason Wilbur, have each scored. Colby Owen, a first-team all-state player as well, but not their all-state Fogo guy, and he is whistled for the infraction. So first possession of the second half for West Linn, and in a one-goal game, it feels important that they won that face-off after we'd already seen a pair of possessions early for Lakeridge where they were able to provide a little pressure, and now we've got a whistle, and I'm not quite sure what I missed there, Dave, but it's...
The West Linn player thought he had touched the ball into the box on the near side of the field. His foot was close. I couldn't tell if he was in or not. The referee didn't think he was in, and he kept counting. West Linn thought that they had achieved the zone entry, so they did not rush. Ball went back the other way. Crazy behind the back move from one of the Lakeridge players on the far side in that ground ball scramble as well. And Lakeridge looks to really get some momentum right here.
Yeah, it feels like Lakeridge has increased the intensity here to start the second half. This is Fedrizzi with a look.
Tremendous shot using his defender as a screen right there. Rowan Kelly there to meet the challenge.
We're going to slow it down here. I think they were checking on the goalie. And now we will restart play with Reardon, who just scored the second goal of the contest for Lakeridge. This is Charlie Coyne, another one of those all-conference attackers looking for his first goal. Lakeridge was held scoreless for the first 22-plus minutes, one goal in the final 2 minutes of the second quarter, one in the first minute of the third quarter. So 2 goals in 3 minutes, and they lead it 2-1. And Lakeridge is perfectly content to play in a low-scoring game. That's how they trust their defense. They are capable of scoring in bunches. They've scored at least 8 goals in each of their last 13, and double digits in 12 of those 13 meetings. So that was a great fake by Fedrizzi, but then he flung that one high and wide.
His defender had no idea where the ball was.
This will be Coyne. Cutting towards the net. He'll dish it off, gets the pick, and now the turnaround, that's Fedrizzi again, sends it high, and then a little bit of frustration there from Enzo as he showed off a little bit of body language there, and another whistle, and now some frustration from the 2 benches. There's been a lot of whistles here early in the opening 3 minutes of this third quarter.
Not sure what the delays on these restarts are.
Coyne on the restart for Lakeridge, looking for the first 2-goal lead for either team today, and that is another big-time save for Rowan Kelly. might be the player of the game for either team at this point, as he has had a lot of stops for this West Linn team. In transition, good play from Rylan Mueller. And Mueller still with it, has a teammate in, Titans 2-2. Drew Reinke off the feed from Mueller, and we have ourselves an tie game once again.
Tremendous end-to-end play from the senior All-State honorable mention midfielder Rylan Mueller. Creates offense from defense, drawing the Lakeridge defense upfield, finding the attackman underneath for a great finish. Great example of a senior making a big-time play at an important time.
And with those 2 goals, that's tied for the most goals that Lakeridge's defense has allowed in their last 12 games.
Cash Groves back on the face-off, and he wins it.
Groves, one of the most important players on this team. He bowls through one. Cash trying to go the whole way, bounces and scores, and then ends up getting knocked down. Cash Groves didn't start the quarter in the face-off X, but comes up with a very important answer.
Curious about what this flag's going to be at the end. It looked like the contact at the end was initiated by Cash Groves, not by the West Linn defender. Looks like somehow they're still giving the West Linn defender a cross-check.
Let's see who ends up taking a knee over there. It looks like it could be Addison Spangler. And will it be one for each side, or just Spangler is hanging out there with Federizzi for a moment? No, it will be a man-up opportunity for Lakeridge. So they not only lead it 3-2, but they will get their 3rd man-up opportunity. They were 0 for 2 in the first half, but both of those opportunities came before they'd found the back of the net. This team showed a little bit more confidence offensively. So they'll start with the ball on the whistle, and this could be a really big turn of events.
Lakeridge trying to play make it, take it.
Lakeridge, again, trying for the first multi-goal lead of the game for either team. They got the pass in tight there to Wilbur, but he had 3 players who collapsed on him, and he wasn't able to get the quick pass off. This is Kellen Aird.
Lakeridge has a diamond with 2 low guys on the pipes. That's their man-up play. West Linn's low defenders are coming high up to play the inside guy. Lakeridge needs to look to skip the ball down to their pipe players for the finish rather than going inside where their guy's getting collapsed on again and again. They do it this time, and bang.
It's Jason Wilbur, his 2nd goal of the 3rd quarter, and all of a sudden it is 4-2 with 7:43 to go, and that feels like it's not a mountain, but it's certainly a little bit of a hill to climb if you're West Linn. Some real adversity for the Lions, who held the lead for the majority of that first half, well over 12 minutes, and now they find themselves down by 2 for the first time. And another face-off win. Lakeridge just continues to look to pile it on. That was Colby Owen again in the face-off. They've been mixing and matching Owen and Cash Groves here in the second.
It seems to be working well for them. One thing I noticed earlier in the first half on one of the few face-offs that we had, that Olsen had done a good job of forcing Cash Groves to go back and prevent transition. In the second half, Lakeridge has succeeded with both face-off men winning the ball forward and creating immediate scoring opportunities.
There's a drop pass. First time that we've seen more of those first half issues for Lakeridge, and then the pass whipped a little bit too far and too high for Davis Reardon. So Lakeridge will give the ball back to West Linn, and this seems like a massive possession here if you're the Lions.
Lions haven't really had the ball in this period. Their goal that they did score was scored in transition.
This will be Mueller, who did set up that lone goal for Drew Reinke. Up top, Brennan Jarrell. Jarrell tries a dangerous pass to the middle with 2 defenders there, and it goes wide.
Not sure what he was looking for there. Seemed like there might have been an easier look to just pass the ball forward and attack the backside through X. Timing-wise, big turnover there. Westland really needed that offensive possession. At the same time, this is kind of a thing in lacrosse. The team that I have coached through the spring has definitely suffered from this from time to time, that when you are not getting the ball on offense, it becomes harder and harder to have discipline, and you just get more anxious and push the ball forward.
And how much does it add to it that you've played this team twice and only scored 4 goals, and now you need to score at least 2 here in the second half just to tie it? Midway point of quarter number 3, and Lakeridge has had the upper hand here to start the third. 3 of the 4 goals took their first lead. Westland tied it, and now they've scored back-to-back. It's Lakeridge around the dodge, and a good job by Westland reacting to it. And a behind-the-back shot from Fred Rizzi that might have been knocked down by the defender. That would have been a highlight reel goal.
Great razor pick on GLE from Charlie Coyne right there. Still working in the 2-man game behind the cage. Westland does a good job sliding and recovering.
On the turn, looked like it was Aird there. Kellen Aird had the game-winning goal in overtime against Jesuit back in April in the meeting between the number 1 and number 2 teams in the state. It's Jesuit's lone loss of the year. As that looked like a clear whack to the head. Now, Aird had lost his footing, and his head was coming down, but you could hear the whack from up here. And that will result in a penalty. And it looks like it's going to be Jake Sinclair, the honorable mention All-State honoree junior for Westland, who will head to the box.
Unlucky in terms of the player from Lakeridge going to the ground and catching that in the head, but anytime you've got a big backswing on your check, you're running into the risk of drawing a slashing penalty.
Davis Reardon looking for the shot, and that's a great look from Beckett Godfrey, but a better save by Rowan Kelly, and that's a hugely important save on the man up, as West Linn should be now 3 for 4, and we've got an offsides against West Linn. Coming back to get the ball was Renke, and now we've got a flag coming, and I don't know if you can see it on your screen. In fact, you probably can, looking to my right. Lakeridge jumping up and down, super excited. The energy level on this Lakeridge side has been amazing to start this third quarter.
I saw a lot of guys in green on defense, not necessarily at the moment when the whistle blew, but it seemed like from where they were a few seconds later that they may have been in the right place. I could totally imagine the frustration of Westland's coaches, if that was the case, drawing the conduct foul that's being called right now.
Well, remember, they were down a man because the original penalty to Sinclair has not elapsed. He's still kneeling. So now they'll be down 2 men, at least for the moment, as Renke, who was offsides, is over there to serve that penalty. The referees are having a conversation. They've had a lot to talk about here in the third quarter. Some of it, we've known what's going on. Some of it, we're not quite sure what they're discussing.
Maybe that's what the penalty was. Maybe the penalty was too many guys in the defensive end because he crossed in the clear, as opposed to too many guys going forward.
That certainly could be it. As now the first penalty is not elapsed, and Lakeridge has the opportunity to score with 2 men up. A big save from Kelly. The ball's loose around the crease. It's knocked away from Kelly, but he was in the crease, and that's an automatic call. So it will stick with West Linn, although they have a player down behind the play. That's Addison Spengler. who we'll have to check on, and he appears to be okay. Well, he's going to run off, but at least doing it on his own power.
I think we're going to get a goalie interference call here, which is going to result in a free clear.
We have a lot of whistles going on right now.
West Linn with the ball at midfield, but still with only 4 players on offense.
Yeah, that first penalty to St. Clair has to be almost over. As this is going to be a tough look. Ryland Mueller immediately double teamed as they try to get the ball right back. They being Lakeridge, and they do so. It's knocked away from him. And it's back to 6 on 5. As some of the Lakeridge fans voiced their displeasure with the referee slowing things down. And now the clock wasn't stopped, so we're going to add a couple more seconds.
Last situation definitely looked like the kind of thing where you can see Lakeridge seemed more prepared for that 4-on-6 restart than West Linn did. It's got to be a situation where you're either trying to sprint down one sideline to get away from that double team, or you're lobbing the ball to the far corner and having your fastest guy chase the ball to a spot. But losing the ball at midfield is definitely not the outcome that you're looking for there.
They add 15 seconds back on the clock, and we are back to 6v6. Lakeridge, though, unable to score on the man up. They do continue to hold a 4-2 lead as we creep down to the final 3:30 of this third quarter, in which they've scored 3 of their 4 goals. This is Charlie Coyne. Over for Davis Reardon, and he's got 2. A shot from the top that just gets underneath Rowan Kelly, and right now West Linn's in the danger zone.
Big difference in the first half. Possession pretty equal both ways. In the third quarter, it is all Lakeridge. Every face-off, West Linn struggling to clear, West Linn taking penalties, West Linn on the ropes in a big way right now with 3:22 left in the third quarter.
We talked about it in the pregame. That last game against Sunset, West Linn really good in the first half. They were up 4-0. They were playing well. They had to play on their heels most of the second half, came away with a 6-4 win, and now they're down 6-2. A hat trick for Davis Reardon, 2 goals scored in maybe 20 seconds.
Great ball movement off of the face-off win from Cash Groves, and a move by Davis Reardon that's just nasty. Great dodge, low to high shot in transition. Goalie's not set. Lakeridge starting to pull away here.
Since West Linn tied the game back up 2-2, it's been 2-2-0 goal runs for Lakeridge. They scored, drew a penalty on the aftermath of the goal, scored right away, 2 goals in maybe 30, 40 seconds, and now back-to-back goals from Davis Reardon in 20 to 30 seconds, and it is 6-2 after we saw this Lakeridge team fail to score a goal for the first 22 minutes. They have scored 5 here in the third quarter, and there's still 2:55 to go.
Whereas in the first half, we saw these teams throwing a lot of jabs, trying to feel each other out. Lakeridge has thrown body blow after body blow here in the third quarter. West Linn has not responded.
Gavin Hidalgo, one of the Hidalgo brothers who earned second-team all-conference this season, back behind the net. Almost losing his footing, keeping it alive is Beckett Godfrey. Back out for Hidalgo. And now they find Reardon, who's got the hat trick. 3 of the team's 6 goals. Reardon spins it around for Hidalgo. Far side for Godfrey. Feels like Lakeridge really just having their way with the defense. Big time save, though, from Kelly. And now, what can West Linn do offensively? They've had so little possession. And when they have had possession, they haven't been able to do much with it. Running for his life here is Griffin Parker, and still battling for it. Losing the battle with the big long pole of Tristan Martin. And it just feels like it's a massive uphill battle, although Lakeridge will give it right back in the turnover.
Lakeridge is outworking West Linn all over the field right now. The battle of the halftime speeches definitely won by the Lakeridge coaches from the way their teams are playing out on the field. The offense playing with a tremendous amount of confidence. You see the level of their passing elevated from how it looked in the first half, and Lakeridge's defense is hunting the ball all over the field. Look at the effort from their attackmen, diving, selling out on the rides, just as much as the poles are pressing to the corners of the field.
Yeah, it just feels like if you're this Lakeridge senior class, and I know I can't put myself in their mindset, but I'm going to try. 2 times where they've gone to the state championship and lost to Jesuit, it feels like they need that third meeting. They need an opportunity to win a state title. This is a Lakeridge team that has won more state titles than any other team in OHSLA history, as we've got a pair of flags going up against Lakeridge, but they haven't won since 2013. I'm going to guess that Kurt Shaden's bringing in alumni to talk about their experience, talks about his own experience coaching this program. I'm sure it would mean a lot to a lot of people if Lakeridge could hoist that 6th title on Saturday. It's going to mean a lot to any of these 3 teams if they can hoist a title on Saturday, as Jesuit looks for the 4-peat, and West Linn would be looking for their first title in quite a bit. Shot is knocked down. Now it's going to go back to West Linn no matter what, but now we'll see who's getting whistled for that foul. It's going to be one of the long poles.
I think this is going to be a slash on Kelly Lamb.
Haven't called his name a lot. Player of the year. It's not like he's having a bad game. It's just he hasn't had to have made a big impact, or hasn't been involved in a lot of the big defensive plays to this point. Maybe they're just trying to avoid it.
Sometimes defenders, too, when you're doing your job, nobody's dodging on you, or you're, a defender at the level that nobody wants to engage with you. And, your name isn't necessarily called a ton of times, but you're still having a huge impact on the game.
West Linn, with under 30 seconds to go in the quarter, content to hold on to possession so that they will have the ball to start the 4th quarter, a man up. 6-2 after 3. We knew that we were going to see something different in the 3rd quarter. Dave, did you expect to see it this different? For me, it was the intensity and energy from Lakeridge. In terms of X's and O's, did we see that much of a difference from the Pacers, or was it just their execution?
Pace of play in their offense in terms of moving the ball faster. Earlier in the game, a little more hesitation in terms of how they're moving the ball to the backside. West Linn's defense able to slide and recover and get there. You're seeing their high-powered attack shooting the ball with their hands free now in the 3rd quarter, and those are going to be shots that are going to be hard for anybody to stop.
On the opposite side for West Linn, 4 goals, not insurmountable. 4 goals against Lakeridge's defense, not insurmountable, but a little bit harder than it would be against most defenses. Where do you start if you're Eric Lopez and your staff?
Hopefully they've got something up their sleeves for this man-up play coming out of the quarter break, where they are going to be able to come up with a look that Lakeridge hasn't seen yet. They've got to capitalize here. They've got to win the next face-off to change the momentum of this game. If they don't score here, and then the next thing that happens is Lakeridge has a 2-minute possession, whether they're scoring or not, they're going to start playing against the clock as much as they're playing against Lakeridge.
Lakeridge has scored the last 4 goals in this game. It was 1-0 West Linn for well over 12 minutes in the first half. Lakeridge scored their first goal with under 2 minutes to go in half number 1, and then 5 of the 6 goals in quarter number 3. It will be West Linn with the ball to start the 4th quarter. We'll see what the Lions can do. As you're watching Oregon Sports Beat, my name is Seth Orensky, joined by Dave Sanford. We'll have all 3 games for you on Saturday. The Cascade Cup at 1, the All-Star game at 3, and the state championship game between Jesuit and the winner of this game at 5:30. Dave, real quick, a preview potentially of that Cascade Cup game. I know you've got some players who play for you in club involved in that first game of the day.
And one of the semifinals has already happened. Beaverton beat Lake Oswego in overtime. Beaverton's goalie apparently, from what I heard, had a tremendous showing in that game. Something like a 65-70% save percentage. The other semifinal, Forest Grove to play Ida B. Wells tomorrow. Forest Grove with a sophomore goalie who is an all-state honorable mention. A couple of attackmen with insane point numbers, 70, 80 goals apiece at least, and pretty close to equal numbers of assists. Their strength of schedule, not the same as Ida B. Wells, who plays in the very tough Columbia Conference with Lincoln, OES, Central Catholic, and Grant. So definitely a different type of team that they'll face. Really should be an interesting semifinal game there tomorrow, and either way, a good matchup for Beaverton coming up on Saturday.
Yeah, what a fun matchup it would be if Ida B. Wells gets to play on their home field here in the Cascade Cup. So one good look from Rylan Mueller, and then Drew Renke drew another flag against Lakeridge. That was against Alex Sly, the senior midfielder. So it'll be a man-up opportunity. It'll still be a man-up opportunity for the West Linn Lions. They desperately need to score here on the man-up. They haven't had nearly as many man-up opportunities as Lakeridge has. I think they're, at this point, 1 for 4. So we'll see if West Linn can find a way to put one past All-American goalie Nolan Darcy. Lions have been mostly shooting from distance here in the second half.
Not a lot of motion yet from West Linn on this man-up play. Just moving the ball around the perimeter. Clock's ticking away.
And the clock is not necessarily their friend. This is Jarrell up top, and a line drive pass that will make its way all the way into the bench for Lakeridge. The turnover on the man-up. Another turnover that wasn't necessarily forced.
Definitely a questionable decision right there. He's got a real easy adjacent pass 12 yards away. He throws a tough skip pass to a guy who's not in a position to take advantage and be a threat to score. Not the way you've got to be managing the clock in that moment. Lakeridge now, you're going to see them hold the ball, kill the penalty.
Yeah, this is Colby, and you, just as you said that, someone shouts from the West Linn bench, put some pressure on the man with the ball. We're the team that's a man up right now. Don't act as if it's Lakeridge with the advantage, as we are now back to full strength. 6v6 in the offensive end. Working with it is Enzo Fedrizzi, who's had some fun moments, but still has yet to put the ball in the back of the net. One of their all-conference players who plays a lot on the offensive end, listed as an attack, so that's why we've seen him exclusively on this side of the ball. Coin gives a little bit of a pick, but it'll be Reardon pulling it back, and at this point the clock is definitely Lakeridge's friend. Just over 9 minutes to go and a 4-goal advantage.
Lakeridge real patient here in their pairs offense. Has the field spread out real nicely. In no hurry at all.
And here's the shot that goes just wide of the near post from Coyne. It'll stay with Lakeridge. On the season, Lakeridge has given up just 2.4 goals per game. They are looking to hold West Linn to 3 goals or fewer for the third time. They earned wins of 8-3 and 15-1. Now we've got a Lakeridge timeout. 8:43 to go in quarter number 4. It has been all Lakeridge here in the second half, as Kurt Shannon's team looks to head back to their third state finals in 4 years. We haven't talked at all about the X's and O's of this Lakeridge defense. And I want to ask you, Pete Lamb named the assistant coach of the year in the OHSLA, also for the conference what makes this defense unique? I think part of it is personnel. You're looking at some big, strong, athletic players, but is there anything they do differently or just better within their system that has made them so strong this year on the defensive side?
I mean, their system is in large based on the players that they have to run it with. Not every team, not most teams in the OHSLA could play the kind of defense they play, but they get out, they pressure, they make offensive players make mistakes. There are very few times when you're playing against Lakeridge's defense that you're, as an offensive player, that you're going to get a free touch. They're conscious of getting to hands every time. Their short sticks also play great one-on-one defense, so they don't get beat a lot, and then when they do, the guys who are sliding are big, they're strong, they're physical, and as you've seen, they also handle the ball incredibly well to get it upfield in transition. Pete Lamb, a great defensive mind, a great accomplished player at the collegiate level in his own right, and someone who has been a long-term, a long-time part of the Lake Oswego lacrosse community, and would definitely be a special moment for him to have the opportunity to win that championship game with his son.
Sean McCarty will restart it. Of course, his son, Kelly Lamb, the best defender on the best defensive team this season in Oregon high school lacrosse. As the Pacers work with it, it's mishandled, at least for a moment, but nobody can collect it quite yet. And a couple players go down, eventually grabbed by, I think that was Nash Baranga. It was Drew Ranke, and Lakeridge gets it right back, turns it over. Playing hot potato, and a shot from distance, throwing his body at the net was Baranaga, and it's a big save from Darcy.
Mad scramble right there. I feel like Griffin Parker kind of spectating that play on the backside a little bit. He cuts hard to the back post. We get a pass instead of a shot there, maybe more likely to get the goal that Wesleyan desperately needed. Now they're playing defense again.
And in tight one-on-one with the goalie, Fedrizzi finally has his first goal. It's 7-2, our first goal of the fourth quarter. And it's now 5 in a row, 7 of the past 8 in favor of Lakeridge. And now West Lynn's the team that hasn't scored in over 12 minutes.
Body language of the West Linn players on the field telling the story of the second half right now. They've got to dig deep to get back into this game. West Lynn's going to go with a long stick on the face-off this time.
It went from a hill to, I think we're up to a mountain to climb if you're West Linn. I believe this is Vigo Anderson, first team All-State long stick midfielder. He's had some good moments today. And I think it's Colby Owen, 28, not 24 here in the face-off X. Good battle between the two. Ball comes loose, and, well, no one quite has it yet. And it'll be corralled by West Linn for a moment, and they do have possession. Big face-off win, but they're not out of danger yet. Running into a trio of players is Caden Mueller. We've got a whistle.
Assuming that's a timeout. Yep, timeout West Linn.
Well, West Linn continues to battle. They continue to fight, but it just feels like this Lakeridge team is relentless. Anytime they lose possession or they don't pick up the ground ball, you see two guys flying to the ball. 7:19 to go. You're down by 5. You haven't scored in a while. I'd say is it time to pull out your best play, but what's your message to your attack? And I'm sure that's a group that right now is a little bit frustrated.
I think that the message to your offense has to be about decision making, about ball protection, about moving when the ball is not in your stick, and working together to create the best opportunities for the team.
How much can you afford to balance the clock versus getting the right shot?
I think that you've got to find the right shot in about 45 seconds tops, based on how much time is left. But like, how do you create the right matchup? You probably want to use some picks to initially get the ball into somebody who's going to have some sort of matchup dominance, and then trigger off of that right away. You're in a situation, especially where you're not winning face-offs cleanly, where they are going to have to go. They're going to have to create opportunities quickly, needing 5 goals in 7 minutes.
7:19 to go as we restart. It's West Linn ball up top, looking to snap this streak. Giving up 5 in a row. Rylan Mueller bounce shot all the way through and over the end line. Be reinserted by Renke, who has one of the 2 goals alongside Brody Jones for West Linn. These 2 Three River Conference rivals battle for the 3rd time this year. Shot that never gets its way on goal as it came out of the stick in transition. Dangerous pass, and now I think we'll see Lakeridge wisely slow it down. So it was a good defensive play by Tristan Martin, who's had a couple of ground balls today for Lakeridge.
West Linn draws a slide on that dodge, tries to shoot right into the double team. Ball ends up on the ground. Initial dodger there needs to have their head up, find the open man, move the ball again so that we're creating team goals.
Davis Reardon, his 4th goal of the second half, his team leading 4th goal, and it is 8-2, just over a minute after that timeout.
On the other end of the field, guarding Davis Reardon, it appears to be a place where you wouldn't want to be on an island based on his performance in the second half here. West Linn's defense doesn't slide. There's no help, and seems like he made that one look easy.
Yeah, I don't think you would have predicted that this game would be where it is with still 6:16 to go. How well West Linn played, but maybe that's part of how good this Lakeridge team is. You can play them maybe for a half. Trying to do this for a full game is super difficult as Anderson wins another face-off, and it's given right back as it was slashed away from him. Darcy, a long pass that somehow finds its way to a Lakeridge player. And in transition, it's Charlie Coyne. 2 goals scored just 24 seconds apart, and it's the first goal of the day for Coyne, who will attend UC Santa Barbara next year.
Great outlet pass from Nolan Darcy. 50-yard pass on a dime right into his player's stick in a very tight window, creates the transition that leads to that goal. West Linn, looking defeated right now, really needs to dig deep and try to finish this game the way that they started it.
Yeah, it was a brilliant first half for Eric Lopez's team. They scored a goal midway through the first quarter. They held Lakeridge in check offensively the entire half, gave up just the 1 goal. Off the faceoff, Cash Groves has his second. 2 goals, 7 seconds apart. And just like that, it is a 10-2 lead. Well, that's not what you wanted to see if you were West Linn's coaching staff. How much of this second half do you think has been Lakeridge just playing up to their level, and how much has it been maybe West Linn struggling to sustain that level of performance for the full 48 minutes?
I think a lot of it, as I think we're seeing a timeout from West Linn here, I think a lot of it the credit has to go to the face-off men, the way that Lakeridge has used both players to create dominance at the X, the way they have pushed forward. And there is a strategy where when the face-off guy wins forward, you're not going to slide off the attackman. You're going to let the face-off guy shoot the ball based on the offensive production of Davis Reardon and Jason Wilbur in the second half. Maybe that's a conscious decision from them that they're going to let the face-off play. They're going to let Cash Groves take that shot instead of putting those attackers in spots where they may be open on the pipes. Nonetheless, he buries it, and Lakeridge looking like they're on a date with Destiny and Jesuit on Saturday.
Well, and how big is it that Cash Groves has taken 2 shots and he scored 2 goals? Because that defensive strategy looks great if Cash sends the shot wide, or you see another big save from Rowan Kelly and you can go the other way despite losing the faceoff. I mean, part of that is execution. Cash is obviously a phenomenal player. He's going D1 next year to Queen Charlotte, but I mean, you know his game far better than I. I know he's in there to win faceoffs. I don't know if his game is also to score a lot of big goals.
I don't know how many goals he scored this year. Like, I haven't seen him score a lot of goals in the time that I've seen him play. I think he's shot the ball in those opportunities with a tremendous amount of confidence. He's shot it really well. And I think that he is going to continue to do so if he's given those opportunities. It'll be interesting to see as Jesuit watches him have that success, how they would play a similar situation on Saturday.
And I'm sure they'll have a scheme and a plan for it. You know, Mike Marcotte is going to plan for that over the next couple of days, as the number 1 seed Jesuit Crusaders will be looking for what would be a record 4th consecutive OHSLA state championship. There have only been 3 teams that have won 3 in a row, including this Lakeridge program back in the day. Lakeridge looking for their first title since 2013. Would be a 6th ever title, as we see West Linn getting a little bit more aggressive coming out, a little bit of a double team, as they clearly have reacted coming out of that timeout. Coach is imploring for a little bit more energy, and we've seen it to this point. 5:15 to go. Don't want to push Lakeridge through quite yet, but it is highly likely, as the team's number 1, or the state's number 1 offense in Jesuit will face the state's number 1 defense in Lakeridge for a 2nd straight season. Last year, it was Jesuit winning by a pretty big score, and we'll see what happens on Saturday at 5:30 right here from Ida B. Wells. Got a whistle. I'm not quite sure what they called there.
That might have been a late whistle. I'm pretty sure that there was an offsides call against Lakeridge there that they didn't call right away.
That was a 12-7 game in last year's final. 3 years ago in 2022, it was 17-9 favor of Jesuit. So far closer last year. Lakeridge is hoping it'll be even closer or in their favor on Saturday as they look for that first title since 2013. They've played 1 time this year. It was a 5-4 overtime win for Lakeridge back in April. Both of these teams, I'm sure, have learned a lot from that matchup and also have worked on a lot of different areas of their game. This is Kellen Aird to the middle, looking to get around, and that's a beautiful goal by Davis Reardon. I think you have to use the word slippery there.
Great pass right on his stick, enables him to change direction, do what he does so well, evading the defense and finishing inside.
11-2, 9 unanswered goals for Lakeridge here, and with 3:57 to go, maybe you can punch the ticket for this Pacers side and what would be their 20th win of the year. It'll be 20-1 Jesuit versus 20-1 Lakeridge. Quite the marquee matchup. Cash Groves back into the face-off. Working against, I think that's Dylan Olson again, who had not been taking the last couple. And Lakeridge wins the face-off, but turns it over. I'm sure that one of the things that Kirk Shannon and his coaching staff will talk to his group about is just being a little bit crisper on Saturday. Some of the mistakes they've been able to get away with in this contest might not work as well against Jesuit, as they, off the turnover, are able to force Luke Thompson out of bounds, and it goes right back to the Pacers.
It's another great play on the ride from Lakeridge. Their attackmen have brought physicality all game, diving all over the field, really pushing to make plays.
Enzo Fedrizzi sends one just behind the net. Goalie's stick actually connected with the back of the cage, so a couple fans thought it was a highlight reel goal.
A little bit of chirping going on amongst some of the players on the field too. Let's hope we get to the conclusion of this in a classy manner.
Jason Wilbur with it. As Wilbur's shot goes high and it's deflected back over the end line, and it will stay with Lakeridge. Lots of cheers from their bench for the hustle play. Maybe they'll overturn that as the backside referee. I think it's always hard when you have two rivals playing for the third time and a game becomes a little bit one-sided late. It's certainly easy to have emotions boil over, as they will give the ball back to West Linn with 3:17 to go. West Linn team under a long-time assistant coach, Eric Lopez, now in his second year as the head coach, and certainly taking a step forward. Last year fell in the quarterfinals, I believe, off the top of my head.
I think the jump from last year to this year for West Linn has been tremendous. Coach Lopez has got to be proud of the accomplishments of his team, even though they're not having the outcome that they're hoping to have right here. They have had a great season. They've had a lot of great games through the season, playing a tough schedule, and they'll be back.
Absolutely.
The number of seniors they have on this team right now, Lakeridge is having a moment right now. Can they take it all the way on Saturday? We will see. But they're locked in. They're going hard. They're going hard all over the field. They're still going hard. And another thing, with 2:52 left in the game and a 10-goal differential as a counterpoint to the last game, Lakeridge still running all of their ones.
Federizi with his second goal. We've got a hold against Lakeridge. 2:43 to go. Eight of the 12 goals today for Lakeridge. Actually, 10 of the 12 goals have been scored by 4 players. 2 from Cascaros, 2 from Federizi, 4 from Reardon, and 2 more from Coyne. Something to watch is Jesuit had, I think it was 9 or 10 different goal scorers in their 17-1 win. Question is, how does Jesuit do offensively against this Lakeridge defense? That'll be the matchup to watch. But it won't be that much easier for Lakeridge's offense against a very good Jesuit defense on the flip side. There was an awkward bounce pass and an interesting effort there from Renke to try to send it towards net as he was falling. And another turnover. 2 minutes to go. The clock has stopped, and it shouldn't have. As Darcy on the ride is going to take some space. And Lakeridge able to take it across, and we'll see if this sets up one final possession. We're going to get an offsides, and it'll go right back to West Linn. Not the cleanest final couple minutes in this one. This is Brody Jones, who scored the lone goal for West Linn in the first half. And he loses possession. It's kept alive, but be picked up by West Linn.
Tremendous slide there from Ryan Wallace to get that ball on the ground. Surprised they didn't come up with the ground ball afterwards, to be honest.
Here's Rylan Mueller, shot from distance. Is it in? It is. Took a little bit, but it's Mueller's first goal of the game, and that snaps a 10-0 run for Lakeridge, tied for the most goals this year for West Linn against Lakeridge, and it's the most goals that this Pacers defense has given up in their past 11 games.
One of the things you talk about, as a coach, when the outcome looks like it does, you talk about the 1% wins. How are you doing on ground balls? How are you doing on faceoffs? You're giving West Linn some 1% wins here.
Yeah, West Linn has continued to fight. The hustle has been there. We've seen some really good work from players like Vigo Anderson, who's stepped into the face-off X and won some face-offs. Really nice game from Rowan Kelly as that shot bounces wide. And now staying down is, I think, Colby Owen. He's being defended there by Hassan Kekia. It's the last thing you want for either team at this point, an injury in the final minute. Trainer coming out for Lakeridge, as is head coach Kurt Shannon.
You got to hope that this is a cramp is what's going on.
Yeah, both.
And not that he can't feel his legs.
They're shaking out both of his legs, and there's a lot of laughs from the crowd, so they seem to think that it's cramps, and he is back up. Not your normal cramp weather. It's gotten a little chilly here, at least up in the top of the stands, but cramps could be an issue on Saturday with 90-degree weather in the hot sun. 47 seconds to go. We'll see Owen step off. He's replaced. It'll stay with Lakeridge. First, we got to get everybody off the field. .45 seconds left. And that shot will go wide, as coming out of his net to provide a little pressure was Rowan Kelly. See if West Linn provides a little bit of defensive pressure. They will. This is Xander Daly, the sophomore D. Seems like West Linn has emptied their bench a bit. And the shot whiffed on. Ball still loose, and will eventually be picked up by Vigo Anderson. Flips it out across midfield. Tapping it forward is Renke. Is he going to be able to track it down? Yes, and with 5 seconds left, West Linn will have their final possession of the 2025 season, as that shot will, well, I'm not sure if it's going to count or not.
Referees are coming together to have the conversation.
Be a pretty amazing goal if it counts. It won't change the result of the score.
No goal is the body language I think we're getting out of the Lakeridge defense, which is blocking the officials. I believe no goal is where we're going with that.
Well, Dave, it was super tight in the first half, and we wondered how these two teams would react. In the end, Lakeridge comes out with more energy, really good execution, and they, at one point, scored 10 goals in a row. What impressed you the most by this Pacers team, especially the final 24 minutes of this semifinal contest?
I really just love the way they turned up the pace and turned up the pressure all over the field. Their stick work seemed to be a lot tighter. They had some great passing to create some looks on the backside, on the offensive side. Their vaunted defense wasn't really a part of the third period when they pulled away, because their offense had the ball the whole time. When you play make it, take it, you're scoring, you're winning face-offs, you're scoring, you're winning face-offs, the other team's failing on their clear, it becomes really hard to keep pace if you're a team like West Linn in a game like this, and that's really where the difference happened and where the story was told. Lakeridge needs to bring that for 4 quarters against Jesuit. If they, and their defense played great throughout this whole game. If they keep this score low and they are winning the faceoffs, they very well could contend with Jesuit for the state championship on Saturday.
On the flip side, the final game of West Linn's season, a brilliant opening 24 minutes, couldn't quite keep it up. What can you say about this group? Year 2 under Eric Lopez certainly took a step forward. It feels like West Linn back on the right track for one of the more historic programs here in the OHSLA.
They're on the right track. They've got a great pipeline. They've got a lot of good sophomores and juniors. in their program who are not getting on the field yet because of the depth that they have. So for the players that they're losing, which I think it's 8 or 9 seniors as opposed to the 16 or 17 on Lakeridge roster, I would expect West Linn to reload really nicely and come back as a top 5 team again next year that will definitely be in the fight to be here again 365 days from now.
Let's give a shout out to the seniors on this West Linn team: Hassan Kekia, Nash Baranaga, Rylan Mueller, Cannon Fuller, Brennan Jarrell, Addison Spengler, Brody Jones, Lucas Thompson, and of course Eric Lopez taking that step forward. That'll do it for us. For my partner, Dave Sanford, our entire Oregon Sports Beat team, my name is Seth Orensky. Make sure to check us out on Saturday. We'll have the Cascade Cup for you at 1 o'clock. The Lacrosse All-Star game at 3 and the championship game at 5:30. We'll have all 3 of those games for you on YouTube. If you can't make it out, if you want to beat the heat, we'll have those games for you. Otherwise, check us out here in person at Ida B. Wells High School on what is supposed to be a hot but hopefully very entertaining Saturday.